Hey folks, Fernando doing our video for the Modern Survivalist. Stay for this video, I'm not kidding, it may end up saving your life one day. It may end up saving you from extremely painful and long legal battles and financial loss as well. I'm serious about this, especially now with the levels of violence going up all over the world. You probably see this in your own country, crime going up, murder, general levels of violence and mental instability in some cases. You want to keep this in mind. This video has very important lessons in terms of avoiding the fight at all costs, even when you want to react to something, a provocation even, you just don't want to get involved in a fight. That's, this is the rule number one that usually any instructor or, self-defense expert worth his salt will make a lot of emphasis on. Avoid the fight. Guys, avoid the fight. It's really not worth it. You just don't know what you're dealing with, and even if you win, you often end up losing as well. What do I mean by this? Well, this is a lot of the idiotic influence from Hollywood, of course, when not, right? The Hollywood version of this is you're a badass and you kick ass and take names and chew gum on wherever stupid saying it is, and nothing happens. In reality, it is very different. In reality, you want to avoid the fight until to the point where you just cannot do that anymore. When you're cornered, when your life is in danger, when your loved ones are at risk, then yes, you do what you have to do, but not sooner than that. If there's an altercation, if there's a discussion, if you've been pushed or insulted or whatever it is that happened, always walk away, stay away. This is actually something that Joko Willick in his podcast talks quite a bit. He also talks about how effective Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu can be, and it can, but there's one little caveat that I want you guys to keep in mind. So he talks quite a bit about avoiding the fight. I cannot emphasize that enough. Even, let's suppose, first of all, you just don't know who you're dealing with. It may be someone that really, literally has nothing to lose in his life. Is that your case as well? Do you have nothing to lose in your life? Okay, then maybe that guy will have an upper hand in the final outcome of this, even if you are the better fighter, which is the case of Leonardo here when he was in this altercation with this other individual, Leandro Pereira do Nascimento. That's the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter, and this is Enrique Otavio Oliveira Veloz, this asshole that was is a military police officer who got into a fight with Leandro, right? This guy was, of course, the inferior fighter, yet he decided that he had nothing left to lose, so he drew his issued sidearm and shot Leandro in the face, shot Leandro in the head. The events went as followed, and there's a little account here. According to the police report, which was obtained by Combate, witness saw Lo take a bottle from Veloso, which the latter grabbed from the table of the former. So there was look how stupid this is. There was a discussion about who was the owner of a bottle of booze, right? One guy took it from the table and the other one took it back from him. The Jiu-Jitsu champion took down the military policeman and immobilized him with an armbar. Right, of course. He quickly immobilized him with an armbar. After Lowe companions separated the two, Veloso stood up, pulled a gun, and shot the Jiu-Jitsu champion in the forehead. The victim was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. So you see what happened here. You have a guy that is used to fighting all day long, but he's used to fighting in a sport, in a combat sport, which is extremely useful. I insist quite a lot on that in street survival skills, right? I say it is extremely useful, but you never have to lose the vision of you're using this in a gym or you're using it in the street. If you're using it in the street, you're in a fight. You're not in a sport activity. You're in a fight for your life, even if that's not the case for you. What cost this man his life was that he confused what he was used to doing all day long, arm bars on people, rear naked chokes, all of this stuff that he was used to doing, and it was not a big deal for him. This is the kind of thing that he wouldn't have even bat an eye at. But for this other dumbass, it was a complete humiliation worthy of throwing his own life away just to kill this other person, this other stranger that offended him so. So, do you have nothing to lose in your life? Well, you have to answer that question yourself. You may come across someone that really has nothing to lose, either because he's emotionally unstable, he's a psychopath, he is mentally disturbed, he's just a damn loser with nothing else in his life other than his, idiotic fantasies of pride and just being taken down like a ragdoll or a child by a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion was too much for his little ego to take, and the only solution was put a bullet in the guy's head. There's people like that. You just don't know. This is like, Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you get. Well, you don't know what you get when you get in a fight with a complete stranger in the streets. Even if you win the fight like he did, he ended up losing because he didn't understand that for this other guy, it was something else. Even if it's completely different and you just punch a guy, you clock him, and you put him down with one blow, it may end up ruining your life nonetheless because he fell down in just the wrong manner and he hit his head and he ended up dead, or he ended up with a disability for the rest of your life, and it will ruin you financially even if you won the little brawl in the street, which you could have probably walked away from. If that was the case and you chose not to walk away from it, then you have only yourself to blame. Do you see what I'm trying to explain here? Even if you submit the guy and he hasn't got a gun, he has a knife, even if you're a world champion, as you're doing your Kimura or whatever is you're going for, thinking in sport, the other guy is opening you up like a bag of potatoes. It's really all that easy, especially when someone confuses sport with life or death fights. If someone is doing this and you have a knife in one of your hands, it is, the amount of damage that you can do to the other person, it's incredible. So don't get into fights with people. Walk away from them. Now, if you end up finding yourself in a fight and you do end up immobilizing someone like he did, don't make the mistake of thinking, well, this is over. Assume he has a weapon. Assume he will use it against you the moment you release him. Probably, if you have the skill, let's suppose you have a guy in a rear naked choke, and he taps out. Well, you don't let go of a guy in a street fight just because he tapped out. Put him to sleep. Once he's asleep, you can check if he has a gun, if he has a knife. Right? You can do something. But the idea, well, he just tapped out, I'm just letting him go. He will stab you. He will shoot you. He will get a couple more friends and kill you. You just don't confuse sport with life or death fight. Maybe it is not for you. For this guy, doing an armbar on some complete stranger was nothing. But for this other guy, it was a matter of life and death. His pride could not let go of it. So he saw that the only solution for him in his own world, in his own delusion, was boom, shot to the head. Guys, I hope you understand now how important it is. Avoid it at all costs. Be prepared for the fight if it ends up happening, and don't underestimate. Even if you're if you're a Brazilian world champion, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion, don't underestimate the stranger on the street, because you just don't know how unstable he may be, or what life has for you in that box of chocolates that day. Guys, prepare as best as you can for that. I always recommend street survival skills. All of this stuff that we're talking about here, the way in which, yes, this is all super useful, right? The ability to immobilize someone, incapacitate. I mean, this is the stuff that I know works, right? And it may end up being extremely helpful. It may end up saving your life in a fight. But don't confuse one thing with the other. This is sport, right? This is the sport aspect of it, which is super useful in a real fight. But when things end up this way, man, don't make that mistake. It may end up costing you your life, folks. And for the other stuff, the economic aspect of preparedness, You have Surviving the Economic Collapse. My books are available there below in the description of the video. See you next time. Take care.